Namo Ramana. Prostrations to Ramana, shining as the self in all beings. We begin with a prayer by Srimati Sapna Ganesh, followed by the chanting of Muktakatrayam by Nanda Kumar.
दक्षिणामूर्तिसारम्भां शङ्कराचार्यमध्यमां रमणाचार्यपर्यन्तां वन्दे गुरुपरम्परां वन्दे गुरुपरम्परां वन्दे गुरुपरम्परां शुक्लां वरदरं विष्णुं शशिवर्णं चतुर्भुजं प्रसन्नवदनं ध्यायेत् सर्वविघ्नोपशान्तये आङ्गिकं भुवनं यस्य वाचिकं सर्ववाङ्मयम् आहार्यं चन्द्रतारादि तं नमः सात्विकं शिवम् ॐ नमो भगवते श्रीरमणाय. Namo Ramana to everyone.
Ekam aksharam hृदि nirantaram bhasate swayam likhyate katham. हृदय कुहर मध्ये केवलं ब्रह्ममात्रम् यहमहमिति साक्षात् आत्मरूपेण भाति हृदि विषमनसा स्वं चिन्वता मज्जता आनचलनरूढा आत्मनिष्ठो भात्वम्. देहं मृण्मयवत् जडात्मकम् अहं बुद्धिर्न तस्यास्त्यतो नाहं तत्तत भावशक्तिसमये शुद्धात्मसद्भावतः कोऽहं भावयुत कुतो रधिया दृष्टात्मनिष्ठात्मना सोऽहं स्फूर्तितया अरुणाचल शिवः पूर्णो विभाति स्वयं सोऽहं स्फूर्तितया अरुणाचल शिवः पूर्णो विभाति स्वयं. नमो रमण.
Namo Ramana. We go on to chanting of verses from Upadeshasaram by Ashwini Balaji and Uma Shripati.
नमो रमण कर्तुराज्ञया प्राप्यते फलम् कर्म किं परं कर्म तज्जडम् कृतिमहो दधौ पतनकारणम् फलमशाश्वतं गतिनिरोधकम् ईश्वरार्पितं नेच्छया कृतं चित्तशोधकं मुक्तिसाधकं कायवाङ्मना कार्यमुत्तमं पूजनं जपश्चिन्तनं क्रमात् जगत ईषधी युक्तसेवनम् अष्टमूर्तिभृद्देवपूजनम् उत्तमस्तवादुच्चमन्दत चित्तजं जप ध्यानमुत्तमम् आज्यधारया स्रोतसासमम् सरलचिन्तनं विरलतः परम् वेदभावनात् सोऽहमित्यसौ भावनाविदा पावनी मता भावशून्य सद्भावसुस्थिति भावना बलात् भक्तिरुत्तमा हृत्स्थले मना स्वस्थता क्रिया भक्तियोगबोधाश्च निश्चितम् नमो रमण
Namo Ramana. We go on to Ramananjali Sangeeta offered by Radha and Vallabh, followed by Pratibha Sundaresh.
Namo Ramana to all. Today we have selected a song written by Sri Sadhu Swami. The music is by Srimati Sulochana Natarajan. Om Namo Bhagavate Shri Arunachala Ramanaya. 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 Jnanamaha Guruparaya Namo Namo Guruparaya Jnanamaha Guruparaya Namo Namo Guruparaya Dina Bhakta Sukhakaraya Deva Deva Shri Ramanaya Dina Bhakta Sukhakaraya Deva Deva Shri Ramanaya Om Namo Bhagavate Shri Arunachala Ramanaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Shri Arunachala Ramanaya. அருணகிரியே ரமண வடிவாய் அவதரித்துள்ள சிவனை நினைந்து அருணகிரியே ரமண வடிவாய் அவதரித்துள்ள சிவனை நினைந்து குரு ரமணாய நமவென்று குழைந்து சொல்வாயா மனமே குரு ரமணாய நமவென்று குழைந்து சொல்வாயா மனமே ஓம் நமோ பகவதே ஸ்ரீ அருணாச்சல ரமணாய ஓம் நமோ பகவதே ஸ்ரீ அருணாச்சல ரமணாய ஒரு முகமாக உள்ளம் குவிந்து உருகி 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 ஒரு முகமாக உள்ளம் குவிந்து உருகி 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 குரு ரமணாய நமவென்று குழைந்து சொல்வாயா மனமே குரு ரமணாய நமவென்று குழைந்து சொல்வாயா மனமே ஓம் நமோ பகவதே ஸ்ரீ அருணாச்சல ரமணாய ஓம் नमो भगवते श्री अरुणाचल रमणाय அருணாச்சலா ரமண சிவா அடிமை நான் என்றழுது தொழுது அருணாச்சலா ரமண சிவா அடிமை நான் என்றழுது தொழுது குரு ரமணாய நமவென்று குழைந்து சொல்வாயா மனமே குரு ரமணாய நமவென்று குழைந்து சொல்வாயா மனமே ஓம் நமோ பகவதே ஸ்ரீ அருணாச்சல ரமணாய 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 குரு ரமணாய நமோ நமோ குரு ரமணாய நமோ நமோ குழைந்து சொல்வாயா மனமே குழைந்து சொல்வாயா நமோ ரமண
Om Namo Bhagavate Sri Ramanaya. Sri Muruganar composed 10 verses called Desikar Padigam as an offering to his Sadguru when he went to meet Bhagwan for the first time. I'll be singing 3 verses from this composition set to music by Sri Ilaiyaraaja. பார்வளர் கைலை பருபத நீங்கி பண்ணவர் சூழலை விட்டு வாரொளி மணி போல் வாசகர் வாக்கை வளர் செவி மடுத்திட விரும்பி ஏர்வளர் பெரும் தண்டுரையடைந்தார் போல் இழிசினேன் பொன் சோலும் வேட்டே சீர்வளரருணை செழும்பதி சேர்ந்தாய் தேசிக ரமணமாதேவே தேசிக ரமணமாதேவே சீர்வளரருணை செழும்பதி சேர்ந்தாய் தேசிக ரமணமாதேவே தேசிக ரமணமாதேவே இருவராம் தெய்வ பெரியராலறியாய் இவ்வுரு எதற்கென தள்ளி இருவராம் தெய்வ பெரியராலறியாய் இவ்வுரு எதற்கென தள்ளி பருகலா மனித படிவமேற்கொண்டு பணிந்தெழும் அடியவர் தமக்கு கருவனாதருள கங்கணம் போந்து கச்சையும் அதற்கென கட்டி திருவண்ணாமலையில் சிறக்க வீற்றிருந்தாய் தேசிக ரமணமாதேவே தேசிக ரமணமாதேவே திருவண்ணாமலையில் சிறக்க வீற்றிருந்தாய் தேசிக ரமணமாதேவே தேசிக ரமணமாதேவே திருக்கடை அலைந்து திரியுனாய் கடை அலைந்து திரியுனாய் போல தேர்ந்ததை தேர்ந்ததை தேர்ந்து பெருக்குடையல்லா பிறப்பினும் பிறந்து பெருந்துயரிடும் பைகள் உழந்து கருக்கடை கதியாய் காத்து நிற்பேனை கடை கணிந்தியானெனதென்னும் செருக்கர ஒழித்து திருப்பதம் அளிப்பாய் தேசிக ரமணமாதேவே தேசிக ரமணமாதேவே செருக்கர ஒழித்து திருப்பதம் அளிப்பாய் தேசிக ரமணமாதேவே தேசிக ரமணமாதேவி பார்வளர் கைலை பருப்பத நீங்கி பண்ணவ சூழலை விட்டு வாரொளி மணி போல் வாச்சகர் வாக்கை வளர் செவ்வி மடுத்திட வீரும் ஏர்வளர் பெரும் கண்டுரையடைந்தார் போல் இரிசினேன் பொன் சொல்லும் வேட்டு சீர்வளருணை செழும்பதி சேர்ந்தாய் தேசிக ரமணமாதேவே தேசிக ரமணமாதேவே தேசிக ரமணமாதேவே தேசிக ரமணமாதேவே நமோ நம
Namo Ramana. We continue the Ramananjali music offering with a song from Savitri Krishnan and Jai Shri Ram Krishnan, followed by a song from Revati Shankar.
ಅರುಣಗಿರಿ ಶಿಖರದಲ್ಲಿ ಬೆಳಕು ಬಂದಿಳಿಯುತ್ತಿದೆ ಬೇಗವಾ ಬೇಗವಾ ಅರುಣಗಿರಿ ಶಿಖರದಲ್ಲಿ ಬೆಳಕು ಬಂದಿಳಿಯುತ್ತಿದೆ ಬೇಗವಾ ಬೇಗವಾ ಬೇಗವಾದಯಗೈದು ಪ್ರಭುದೇವರಮಣ ಬೇಗವಾದಯಗೈದು ಪ್ರಭುದೇವರಮಣ ಪ್ರಭುದೇವರಮಣ ಬೇಗವಾ ಬೇಗವಾ ಪೋದೆಯ ಮರೆಯಲಿ ಸ್ತೋತ್ರ ಹಾಡುತ್ತಿದೆ ಕೋಗಿಲೆ ಬೇಗವಾ ಬೇಗವಾ ಪೋದೆಯ ಮರೆಯಲಿ ಸ್ತೋತ್ರ ಹಾಡುತ್ತಿದೆ ಕೋಗಿಲೆ ಬೇಗವಾ ಬೇಗವಾ ಕರುಣಿಸುತ್ತವ ಬೇಗ ಗುರುದೇವರಮಣ ಕರುಣಿಸುತ್ತವ ಬೇಗ ಗುರುದೇವರಮಣ ಗುರುದೇವರಮಣ ಬೇಗವಾ ಬೇಗವಾ ಅರುಣಗಿರಿ ಶಿಖರದಲ್ಲಿ ಬೆಳಕು ಬಂದಿಳಿಯುತ್ತಿದೆ ಬೇಗ ಬಾ ತಮ ಭಾವ ಹರಿಯುತ್ತಿದೆ ತಾವರೆಯು ಅರಳುತ್ತಿದೆ ಬೇಗ ಬಾ ಬೇಗ ಬಾ ತಮ ಭಾವ ಹರಿಯುತ್ತಿದೆ ತಾವರೆಯು ಅರಳುತ್ತಿದೆ ಬೇಗ ಬಾ ಬೇಗ ಬಾ ಶ್ರುತಿ ವೇದ ಶಿಖರವೇ ಬಾರೋ ಬಾರಮಣ ಶ್ರುತಿ ವೇದ ಶಿಖರವೇ ಬಾರೋ ಬಾರಮಣ ಅರುಣಗಿರಿ ಶಿಖರದಲ್ಲಿ ಬೆಳಕು ಬಂದಿಳಿಯುತ್ತಿದೆ ಬೇಗ ಬಾ ಬೇಗ ಬಾ ಬೇಗ ಬಾದಯಗೈದು ಪ್ರಭುದೇವರಮಣ ಬೇಗ ಬಾದಯಗೈದು ಪ್ರಭುದೇವರಮಣ ಪ್ರಭುದೇವರಮಣ ಬೇಗ ಬಾ ಬೇಗ ಬಾ ಓಂ ನಮೋ ಭಗವತೆ ಶ್ರೀರಾಮಾಯ
Om Namo Bhagavate Sri Ramanaya. We are meditating on the 35th verse of Saddarshanam. Siddhasya vittih sata eva siddhihi swapnopamana khalu siddhayonyaha swapnah prabuddhasya katham nu satyaha sati sthitih kim punareti mayam. Self-abidance alone is a miracle. The other miracles are like dreams which last till waking. Can those firmly rooted in the real relapse into illusion? Anything other than the self is going away from it. Even thinking of the self is also not being the self. If you wake up in your dream, it doesn't mean that you've woken up. Bhagavan says any magic siddhi is just like a dream situation. Any siddhi coming on the way of a sadhana needs to be questioned. We need to be vigilant about anything other than the self. Question it and get back to the source. I present to you a song written by Muruganar Swami, translation by Sri Sri Shaila, music by Srimati Sulochana Natarajan. ಮಾರ್ತಾಂಡ ವೆಂಕಟನು ಮಾಯಾ ವಿರಮಣ ಶ್ರೀರಮಣ ವೆಂಕಟನು ಮನಸೆಳೆವರಮಣ ಮಾರ್ತಾಂಡ ವೆಂಕಟನು ಮಾಯಾ ವಿರಮಣ ಶ್ರೀರಮಣ ವೆಂಕಟನು ಮನಸೆಳೆವರಮಣ ಗುರುಪಾದ ಪದ್ಮಗಳ ಸೇರಿದೆನ್ನನು ಸ್ವಚ್ಛಂದ ನೋಟದಲ್ಲೇ ಕೃಪೆ ತೋರಿ ಪಾಲಿಸಿದ ಗುರುಪಾದ ಪದ್ಮಗಳ ಸೇರಿಯನ್ನನು ಸ್ವಚ್ಛಂದ ನೋಟದಲ್ಲೇ ಕೃಪೆ ತೋರಿ ಪಾಲಿಸಿದ ಮಾರ್ತಾಂಡರಮಣ ವೆಂಕಟರಮಣ ಮಾರ್ತಾಂಡರಮಣ ವೆಂಕಟರಮಣ ಸುಮ್ಮನಿರಂದು ಮೌನದಲ್ಲೇ ಸುಮ್ಮನಿರೆಂದು ಮೌನದಲ್ಲೇ ನುಡಿಯದೆ ನುಡಿದಂತೆ ಆಜ್ಞಾಪಿಸಿದ ನುಡಿಯದೆ ನುಡಿದಂತೆ ಆಜ್ಞಾಪಿಸಿದ ಮಾರ್ತಾಂಡ ವೆಂಕಟನು ಮಾಯಾ ವಿರಮಣ ಶ್ರೀರಮಣ ವೆಂಕಟನು ಮನಸೆಳೆವರಮಣ ಮಾರ್ತಾಂಡ ವೆಂಕಟನು ಮಾಯಾ ವಿರಮಣ ಶ್ರೀರಮಣ ವೆಂಕಟನು ಮನಸೆಳೆವರಮಣ ಮಾಯಾರೂಪದಲ್ಲಿ
ರೂಪದ ಕಗ್ಗತ್ತಲನು ಸಹ ಮಾಯೆ ಮಾಡಿದ ಮಾಯಾವಿ ಗುರು ರಮಣ ಮಾಯಾ ರೂಪದ ಕಗ್ಗತ್ತಲನು ಸಹ ಮಾಯೆ ಮಾಡಿದ ಮಾಯಾವಿ ಗುರು ರಮಣ ಮಾರ್ತಾಂಡ ರಮಣ ವೆಂಕಟರಮಣ ಮಾರ್ತಾಂಡ ರಮಣ ವೆಂಕಟರಮಣ ಅಮ್ಮ ಪವಾಡವಿದ ಹಾಡಿ ಹೊಗಳಿ ಅಮ್ಮ ಪವಾಡವಿದ ಹಾಡಿ ಹೊಗಳಿ ಶ್ರೀಗಂಧದಿ ಹುಡಿಯ ಹಿಡಿಯುವರಾವೆ ಶ್ರೀಗಂಧದಿ ಹುಡಿಯ ಹಿಡಿಯುವರಾವೆ ಮಾರ್ತಾಂಡ ವೆಂಕಟನು ಮಾಯಾ ವಿರಮಣ ಶ್ರೀರಮಣ ವೆಂಕಟನು ಮನಸೆಳೆವರಮಣ ಮಾರ್ತಾಂಡ ವೆಂಕಟನು ಮಾಯಾ ವಿರಮಣ ಶ್ರೀರಮಣ ವೆಂಕಟನು ಮನಸೆಳೆವರಮಣ ಶ್ರೀರಮಣ ವೆಂಕಟನು ಮನಸೆಳೆವರಮಣ ಶ್ರೀರಮಣ ವೆಂಕಟನು ಮನಸೆಳೆವರಮಣ. ನಮೋ ರಮಣ.
Namo Ramana. We continue the satsang with the sharing, reading and sharing by Sri Kumarji.
Namo Ramana. In this the book reading segment of our satsang, we continue to read from Fresh Discoveries, Western Seekers on Sri Ramana Maharshi, a compilation by our founder president, Sri A.R. Natarajanji. We have been reading the account of Shunyata Bhava, and we have come to the last segment of his account. This segment is entitled The Supreme Silence. The Himalayan dawn is exquisitely lovely, but so is every mood of Sri Himalaya and Sri Andes, ever changing in living, unassertive loneliness, unfolding and becoming, and yet, like eternity, ever here and now and real. Andes, of course, is the mountain range in South America. The Ananda rhythm of the invisible real is ever our true nature and is the richer lived in integral conscious awareness if we be maturely receptive and appreciative of the due differences and complementary contrasts in time, play, duality consciousness and ego shakti first. So if we are aware about the ego play in these differences and tuned, Shunyata Bhava says that we will be in tune with the Ananda rhythm that is underlying all these duality consciousness and ego shakti first. Concept free, ego free and thought free, we must enter the inner music of silence and so experience by integral identity. The whole does not assert or enthuse verbosely. No need of euphonic eulogies or of supramental raptures, enthusing or ego fuss. Still inner, integral and supreme silence which permeates, sustains and comprehends until one is not two. So he is giving the clue how to tune ourselves. Stilly and mind freely, one must sink into the inner integral supreme silence till there is no two. Advitiyam. Ego stilled, one must live and be the living integral experiencing. No experience, no experiencer and no one, but not two in Advaita Prajna light and Karuna rhythm. These are his favorite phrases. The Prajna light, Karuna rhythm, which he uses to indicate the self. It is not a thing or an experience which can be shared or partaken in by egos. It is sahaja, integral, essence awareness, and full experiencing. Time and egos do not usurp the eternal moment. So when the eternal moment is experienced, the time and the egos, they cannot eat away the eternal experience. Shadows and part play do not blur the eternal experience. Once the limitless is experienced, even though these may be visible, the ego play, the dualities, the time, all these may be visible, but they don't touch that undivided Advitiya consciousness. Bondage is delusive. All is one, or rather not two. In divine solitude and in non-urge to express. So another way he is describing the final state is there is no urge to express it. Egos must let Brahman or Turiya speak. So if we still identify with the ego, there must be a passiveness, there must be a quietness, there must be a stillness in which we can hear the Brahman or Turiya Avastha speak. We must be solo, concept free, ego free, in passive positivity, in negative capability, and pure effort free receptivity. So this is how the ego has to be to experience the supreme silence. It should be in absolute concept free, passive positivity, negative capability. Negative capability is a reference from Keats, the poet, who says how the poet has to go where logic falls short. Even logical explanations are not there. When his poem takes him there, when his thoughts take him there, he should go surrenderedly into the area which he does not know and still voice the words. So that is what here Sorensen or Sunita Baba is referring, that the ego has to be passive, has to be still to experience the supreme silence. All one, beyond loneliness, not two, Advitiyam in Advaita. Kindred brethren can attune and share in this attunement or atonement. Here he introduces Satsangh. Sunita Baba introduces the mystical element, how the Advitiya Vastu can be shared in Satsangh. Kindred brethren can attune and share in this eternal attunement or atonement. We can be the Advaita experiencing together and alone. It can be that all of us together experiencing, or it can be that we experience it alone. The difference between together and alone should be removed from the ego. How we are experiencing it, whether we are experiencing it alone or together with everyone, these thoughts should not come. So it includes both. Together we can stilly undress or let go effort freely of all the rags, the fig leaves, all possessiveness, attachment or lust, all our ideals, ideas and idols, all our fond concepts, power antics, ego willfulness, and delusive bondage and conceit of agency. Let such values go and experience integrally. Integrally, we saw last time, is with nothing outside, having integrated everything inside. That is the anubhava of the self. Velividayam vittu vilangum marudesa, we saw that. We can make ready together, harmonize the tools and circumstances, but we do not enter the sea of silence, the akasha vastness of fullness, nor do we let it enter us, for it is eternally here and now in the immanence and transcendence. So this is a point which many poets discuss, whether we merge into the Supreme or the Supreme merges into us, whether the droplet merges into the ocean or the ocean enters the droplet, as Kabir says. But here Sorensen or Sunita Baba is telling us that don't have such concepts. There is nothing like you entering the ocean or ocean entering you, because the Supreme is eternally here and now. There is no entering, there is no merging. The sea is in the dewdrop. The whole is in the part. The eternal is in time and ego play. So, not one ego consciousness can enter the Advitiya. The simple, mature awakening is into Advitiya awareness. There is no ego, angstful means with a lot of anxiety. There is no ego, angstful existential need, no willful mind suicide. The ego practices death, realizes its own illusoriness and fades. As Bhagavan says, our good lies in our non-existence, our fading away. The ego realizes that my own good is in my fading away. So that is what Sorensen writes here. The ego practices death, realizes its own illusoriness and fades. It is not a becoming, but a practical experiencing an ever-present reality, eternally here and now. Our mental antics, ego consciousness, and false self-identification blur the intuitive prajna light, veils the karuna rhythm, and mutes to us the song of integral silence. So here he is describing what are the blocks. Earlier he said how to join it by stilling. Here what are the blocks? Our mental antics, the ego consciousness, the false self-identification. All these blur the intuitive prajna light, veils the karuna rhythm, and mutes to us the song of integral silence. So sharing is not satisfactory. Yet non-dual twos and or threes can experience together the whole. Integral awareness and consciously be the unity in and beyond union, ecstasy and ego rapture. So in Satsangh, as we say, suddenly Bhagavan comes. We used to say here in South Bangalore that whoever is there or not, whether the organizers are there or not also, it doesn't matter. At 6:30 exactly we should start the Satsangh because Bhagavan comes. At that time, since we have committed to assemble, wherever we assemble in Bhagavan's name, Bhagavan comes. That is how, even though individually we are not capable, here Sorensen is saying, when 2 or 3 of us join, together we can join in the Advitiya Vastu. With the few, one may go a long way in elimination, in undressing or letting go, in pure contemplation. To the pure, all is pure. Yet at first, there would necessarily be some adjustments, readjustments, some fumbling and perhaps jarring effort in attunement until all trying ceases and consummatum rest. Now, though the final state is of consummatum rest, that consummatum rest is a phrase used by Jesus Christ when he is finally crucified. He says, now everything is finished. My job for having taken birth is over. And he offers his soul to God. That is consummatum rest. But before that, before the ego becomes quiet, Sorensen says that you have to expect that there will be some struggle, that there will be some adjustments to make before we realize that our effort is the problem. That is what we read in Guru Vachaka Kore, that the failure in effort shows to us that without grace, without God's grace, we cannot reach the supreme state. So when we understand that, slowly we quieten down. That without grace, our effort alone cannot reach. Slowly the quietness comes in. Jarring effort is to be made in attunement until all trying ceases and consummatum rest. In the ensuring joyous is, there is no shadow of you or I, of subject or object, of ego and duality consciousness. Effort and desire and possessive sense of belonging and of attachment all must fade and vanish. Lust of life and love is purified and transfigured into Karuna experiencing. What was the desire to achieve great things in life, the lust for achieving this or that or aggregating things, that is changed or gets transfigured into compassion, Karuna experiencing. On one level of consciousness, sex and duality reign supreme. On another stage of play and of awareness, they do not matter. While in a third mode of experiencing, they do not exist. In Advaita, there is no duality, no trinity, nor oneness. Beyond not true is the supreme silence. It is the Swadharmic experience that matters supremely, not names and forms, time and words, symbols or concepts. Words and expression are secondary and always falsify the invisible real as ego shadows, veils and sediments. Words are a disease, a pest, and ego presence. If it makes us ego conscious, surely it is an hindrance, if not a complete bar or shutter for prajna light in the inherence, awareness, and sahaja karuna rhythm. Beware of the learned doctors of bodies of psyche and divinity. So, next caution in experiencing the supreme silence. Sorensen says, beware of the learned doctors of bodies of psyches and divinity. They are sometimes worse mental cases than our ordinary diseased egos. Don't let them prick and probe and cut and inject poison into any of your bodies. Especially the spiritual one must be kept pure for its sadhana. So don't just like that take all kinds of information and work on it. Stick to one teaching, stick to Bhagavan and practice that. The poison we ourselves inject unconsciously and karmically will be expunged as we reawaken, and even clever egos must respect sadhana. Whatever happens in and to us is for the best in karmic interplay. How to take the karmic interplay to go towards silence? Whatever happens to us is for the best. Our prarabdha prakaram, adarkanavan, angang irundhu aattimpam. The ordainer controls the destiny. Therefore, whatever is happening to us is for the best. That allows the passivity or quietness. Whatever happens to us in and to us is for the best in the karmic interplay. In retrospect, we are aware that all is well, that there is no real choice, no real renunciation, and so we drop or let go our blinding conceit of agency. So when we finally understand it is Ishvara who is doing everything, there is nothing like any real choice for us. It is not by choice that I come and speak. It is not by choice that we listen. It is by the ordainer's will that all this happens. There is no real renunciation. I have given up. What can I do to give up? So we drop all these concepts that I have given up, I have taken, I have done, and the conceit of agency has to be dropped. Accept all as yourself and do not kick. We are equal with the lowest and with the gods. When we are equal with the lowest of the low, then automatically the gods embraces. We think we push, create, swell, become, while all the eternal way, we are being wisely pushed, guided, and led into purity, to transfiguration, to ego-free reawakening, into conscious self-awareness. Nokiye kardi mai takiye pakkuvam akini andaru Arunachala. It is Arunachala who is making us pakka, who is making us mature. All the credit we have taken, I took this decision, I did that, so many years of sadhana, all that is gone into the grace, the swell of grace. It is only Arunachala who has done everything for me. Swadharma is our chief concern, and it is our attitude to things and happenings within and around us that matters more than the actual play or interplay. Inside rather than outside, fixed concepts and points of view, darshan rather than mere visions, raptures and ecstasy, integral strength rather than mere power, swelliness, willful shakti business, and artful creative becoming, inherent wisdom rather than mere accumulated, derived and superimposed knowledge, sahaja joyous ease rather than learned ignorance and heroics, stardom and fraud, know-howness, simple Himalayan experience rather than ideal theories, perennial philosophizing and euphonic eulogies in words. It is anubhavam, not to be expressed. Since sahaja worship in deeds and silence rather than pious worship, sincere sahaja worship in deeds and silence rather than pious worship and ego first. The supreme silence is the eternal experiencing, the invisible real in all our being and doings. The Advaita Turiya is not a becoming in sweller, cuter, bigger and better ego play. Our fond supramental antics, powerful hankerings, possessiveness, and other ego gratifications are but shadows in the passing show. Yet the play is fun, says an Advaitin. Alertly he bounces and chases the shadows, the dragons and the fearsome egos, and even his very own tail in free play. The Himalayan Leela is vast and grand and lovely in joyous ease. Ananda will bubble up. It is our true nature. It is Turiya and contains all opposites, paradoxes, questions and quests, and their solution, resolution and fulfillment. It is truly all-comprehensive. All extremes and excesses meet and merge at joyous ease. Having nothing, you are the all. In silence, we possess nothing, yet we are everything. Once the possessions are all given up, then there is identity with everything. There is nothing to acquire, there is nothing to gain, because we are the supreme silence there. When all possessions are dropped, there our very nature, our identity is with the Sahaja, the supreme silence. We still have 2 more paragraphs to go. With Bhagavan's grace, we'll continue next week. Om Namo Bhagavate Shri Ramanaya.
Namo Ramana. We continue the satsang with self-inquiry, guided today by Sri Dilip Sinha.
Namo Ramana. Dhyayet Sharada Chandra Sundaramukam Tambraravinde Kshanam Bhaktabhishthavara Bhayapradakaram Kaupinamatrodjvalam Swatmanandarasanubhuti vivasham Sarvanavadyangakam Shrimantam Shri Ramaneshwaram Guruvaram Yogasana Dhyasitam Dhyayet Shri Ramaneshwaram Dhyayet Shri Ramaneshwaram Dhyayet Shri Ramaneshwaram Hridaya Kuhara Madhye Kevalam Brahmamatram Yahamahamiti Sakshat Atmarupena Bhati Hridi Vishamanasa Swam Chingvata Majjatava Pavana Chalana Rodha Atmanishto Bhavatvam. Namo Ramana. We will commence today's Atma Vichara by listening to Bhagavan's Upadesham. As usual, I will be reading from Guru Vachaka Kovai. The chapter is Meditation on the Truth. The topic blessed by Bhagavan is Bhakti and Vichara. Verse 724. It is only through the divine grace bestowed by Ishvara, he who abides as the soul of the soul and who is the reality of the Jiva, that Samadhi, the state of abiding in the heart, is attained as the culmination of the practice of the Vichara that bestows the much desired to true Jnana. I repeat Bhagavan's words. It is only through the divine grace bestowed by Ishvara, he who abides as the soul of the soul and who is the reality of the Jiva, that Samadhi, the state of abiding in the heart, is attained as the culmination of the practice of the Vichara that bestows the much desired true Jnana. Here, Bhagavan is bringing us our attention, as said by Nandakumar ji, that it is the Ishvara Krupa that has brought us to this path. It is the Ishvara Krupa that makes us also practice the Vichara. And it is the Ishvara Krupa that finally gives the abidance in the heart. So the Krupa, though it is said Ishvara Krupa, Ishvara, Guru, God, all are one and the same. So it is the Krupa that makes us all possible. The ego has nothing much to do. As it was said, the ego only phases off, recognizing that it has nothing much to do. But that also happens only by the grace of the Supreme. It is therefore becomes very important that we recognize that grace, we hold on to that grace. As I was talking to my family this morning, I was saying Dharma is such an important aspect to reach the truth. And there may be many a times that the intellect may give very logical reasons not to follow it. It is only if anyone claims that he could follow the Dharma, it was only by the grace of the Ishvara, which could supersede these intellectual thoughts, which can supersede this logic, and not only supersede it, but also give the energy to follow what was required and make us do it. So anybody who has reached the heart will have to vouch only to the Ishvara's grace. It is only His grace that makes us possible to understand and to tread this path without getting diverted. And that is what Bhagavan is saying here. It is completely the grace. The grace alone is in the beginning, middle, and the end. With that grace of the Master with which we have come to this path of Atma Vichara, with that grace with which alone that we can comprehend this Vichara, with which alone we can abide in the self and transcend all the limitations, let us hold that grace to do the Atma Vichara for the next 10 minutes. In Atma Vichara, Bhagavan says that no matter how many thoughts arises, whatever may be the type of thought that may arise, which may be good, bad, ugly, whatever it is, we should diligently inquire to whom is this thought. Thereupon, it becomes clear that this thought is for me. And when we inquire then, who am I? Or where from this I rises within me? Or what do I refer to as I within me? Then the attention is taken with that question, who am I? To the self. And the mind is made to become one with it. With repeated practice, Bhagavan assures that the mind will gain enough strength to remain at the source. So it is the grace that makes us recognize a thought. It is the grace which makes us inquire, who am I? It is the grace which takes us and makes us one with the self. With that grace, calling upon that grace, let us do Atma Vichara for the next 10 minutes.
continue the satsang with the sharing by Sri Venkatesh Deshpande ji on the Bhagavad Gita Sara, selections from Bhagavad Gita by Bhagavan Ramana.
Vasudevasutam devam kansachanuramardhanam devaki paramanandam krishnam vande jagadgurum. Oh. Shantakaram bhujagashayanam padmanabham suresham vishwadharam gaganasadrisham meghavarnam Mangam Lakshmi Kantam Kamalanayanam Yogiradhyanagamyam Kamunde Vishnum Bhavaharam Sarvalokaikanaatham. Oh. We are doing Manana on Bhagavad Gita Sara, and we have reached the verse number 39, which is from chapter 3, verse number 18. I request Sapna to kindly chant it, please.
Yes, sir. अथ श्रीमद्भगवद्गीता सारः नैव तस्य कृतेनार्थो न कृतेनेह कश्चन न चास्य सर्वभूतेषु कश्चिदर्थव्यपाश्रयः नैव तस्य कृतेनार्थो न कृतेनेह कश्चन न चास्य सर्वभूतेषु कश्चिदर्थव्यपाश्रयः. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Sapna. For such a realized soul, no purpose is served by performing any activity, nor is there any purpose served by not doing any action. He has no dependence on any being or any purpose whatsoever. So, as a realized soul remains as the absolute self, and as there is nothing apart from the self, he has no desires. As such, he has no purpose to be achieved by doing any activity. In the scriptures, there are some compulsory daily activities like morning worship, etc., which are prescribed for some categories. By performing these activities, no punya or merit or other gain accrues, but the non-performance of these actions result in a sin. In the case of a realized soul, by non-performance of these activities, no sin accrues. There is no purpose served by non-doing of action. A person dependent on other being for any purpose may have to undertake some activity in connection with his expectation from others. A Jivan Mukta is not dependent on anybody else for any purpose whatsoever. He is absolutely free. So these self-realized personalities basically are situated on the transcendental platform of the soul. Every activity is transcendental in the service of God. So the duties prescribed for worldly people at their bodily level is in accordance with the dharma no longer apply for them. Here the distinction needs to be made between karma and bhakti. Shri Krishna was talking about karma and saying that they must be done as an offering to God. This was necessary to purify the mind, helping it rise above worldly contamination. But self-realized souls have already reached absorption in God and developed purity of mind. These transcendentalists are directly engaged in bhakti or pure spiritual activities, such as meditation, worship, kirtan, service to God. Historically, saints have been of two kinds. The first type, those like Prahlad, Dhruv, Ambarish, Prithu, and Vibhishan, who continued to discharge their worldly duties even after attaining the transcendental platform. These were the karma yogis. Externally, they were doing their duties with their body, while internally their minds were attached to God. The second type, those like Shankaracharya, Madhavacharya, Ramanacharya, and Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, who rejected their worldly duties and accepted the renounced order of life. These were the karma sannyasis who were both internally and externally, with both body and mind, engaged only in the devotion to God. So in this shloka, Sri Krishna explains that one who has found delight solely in the eternal essence loses all sense of doership. In other words, all his actions become selfless and spontaneous, like an artist who cares only about creating paintings without any expectation. Sri Krishna elaborates that point in the shloka. He says that for such a person, the concept of gain or loss does not exist. To better understand the shloka, let us imagine a situation where one is at the end of a critical chapter in one's life. For example, imagine that a person has submitted his resignation and is in the last week of his job. What will be his mindset? He will suddenly become the nicest guy in the office and the most fun guy to hang out with. Why is that? Everyone knows that he has no agenda with anyone anymore, since it does not really matter. And he can surf the web all day long because it does not really matter whether he works or doesn't work. Another example could be a person who is at the age of 65 and has just retired. He has a decent fortune with his savings and can live comfortably till the last day. In addition, he is quite healthy and can still work if needed. But just like in the earlier example, it does not matter whether he performs any action or doesn't. Moreover, he does not have any dependency on anyone. His savings make him self-sufficient. Therefore, for the individual that has realized the worth of the eternal essence, treasure, any other material gain or loss does not hold any meaning. The verse continues to give the exception of the tenet of action. The experience of realization is like waking up from a dream. If you are able to re-enter the same dream, how would you conduct yourself? Would the highest achievement in the dream make any difference to you, or the greatest loss affect you adversely? Yet, you would do what you have to do objectively. Similarly, when you wake up to the fourth plane of consciousness, becoming the wealthiest person in the world or the most powerful would have no impact on you. Yet you would fulfill every role enthusiastically, excitedly, wholeheartedly, knowing that the entire world is essenceless and of zero value. You have no obligations to perform as you are not dependent on the world. When you put uncooked food in hot oil, it splutters and sizzles. Cooked food has no spluttering when you put it in the same oil. This is true both in the absolute as well as in the relative sense. To the extent you escalate, the higher you are freed from the obligations of the lower state. So Bhagavan beautifully says in these verses, it's important that we understand that the truth that we are all trying to get to is to the self. And the truth is that if you are in the self, if you are in knowledge, if you are in jnana, then what happens? Everything is only you, and then you realize that all these are just projections. These are nothing but upadhis. These are just covers which are covering up the truth. And once you are with the truth, then everything is you. There's nothing else but you, because everything is the wave, the ocean, these clouds, the snow, the ice. Everything is only but water. So once you realize that everything is only water, then what happens? Then you don't worry whether the water is in what form it takes, because you realize that everything is only the water. So similarly, when you understand your truth, you are the Satchidananda Atman, and everything is only that. Everything is a projection of that. It's from the consciousness that everything has come up. The names and forms that you see is actually the Mula Bhava is only the consciousness. Then what happens? Then you don't run behind the names and forms, and then when you know that everything is only you, then there are no desires left, and you are in the state of perfect peace. You are in state of bliss, and you become fearless and free. May Bhagavan give us all the strength to be able to abide in the thought-free state of the self. Om Namo Bhagavate Sri Ramanaya.
Namo Ramana. We continue the satsang with a sharing from Dr. Kalarani Rangaswamy on Devika Lotram Jnana Vichara Padalam.
ஓம் நமோ பகவதே ஸ்ரீ ரமணாய. அருணாச்சலம் என அகமே நினைப்பவர் அகத்தை வேறறுப்பாய் அருணாச்சலம். Namo Ramana to all. With the infinite grace of Bhagavan, we are meditating on Devi Kalotra Jnana Vichara Padalam, very graciously given to us by Bhagavan Ramana. And in the last satsang we saw, அந்த ஏகாந்தத்து அடையும் சுகம் அதுவே. When the mind is made to abide in the self, that is ekantam. The happiness or ananda that one experience in that state is incomparable with other worldly happiness which seem to be attained through the senses. The happiness attained through Panchayendriyas are not lasting. One may enjoy eating sweets and be happy for some time. Then, if his sugar level rises, he will be put into trouble. One may be very much in need of a particular thing in a particular time. Say, for example, when we were kids, we must have longed for a Barbie doll. We might not have got that. So we would have been very sad. But after 20 years, we have forgotten about that doll itself. All right. In 20 years, we might have been very happy because we have graduated. Till what time? When we get PG degree. Again, we are happy. And the thought of graduation and the happiness that we got at that time goes off. The happiness of getting PG degree lasts long till an MPhil degree. Again it changes when we are awarded with a PhD degree. Now, again, sorrow because we did get suitable job. So, where is the happiness of getting PhD degree disappear? So, with the mind loitering outside, we will be pushed to experiencing the Sukha Dukkha alternatively. At one particular time, something gives us happiness, and after some time, the same thing gives sorrow. Something which gives happiness for one person gives sorrow for another person. It happens all because of the mind only. Everything is in the mind. Is there any special place for this mind in our body? No. Bhagavan says in Upesasara Manasam Sukhim. When inquired where is the mind, what is the mind, what is the nature of this mind, it runs off, it vanishes. Only Pedinal Votam Dikum Peyahande, Bhagavan says. He compares it to the devil, which runs off when inquired. Only because of the persistence of thoughts, mind lives. Without any thought, there is no place for the mind. It goes and merges with the Atma. And that is where one feels Atyanta Anandam. Bhagavan says in the next stanza, Antamila Atyanta Anandam. There is no end for this undestructible Ananda or happiness. This Ananda is incomparable with any other Ananda that is found in Nirvishaya. Jnanis are in this state. They will be with everyone but will be aloof, showing equal kindness to all. Bhagavan lived as a best example for this. In his Sannadhi, one can find no discrimination at all. Monkeys, cows, dog, peacock, crow, squirrel, human being of all kinds are all treated equally with same compassion. What is being served to all will be accepted by Bhagavan. One day, I'll tell you an example. One day, a lady devotee served a little bit more of potato to Bhagavan, and Bhagavan noticed it. And in the evening, when she took leave, Bhagavan asked her, why did she do like that? She said, Bhagavan, what did I do? I don't understand. Didn't you serve more potato for me? Yeah, very little bit more. That is for, I thought you will gain some strength out of it. Bhagavan asked her, do you think mukti is there in potato curry? All love. Like this, all were equal in front of Bhagavan. Once a person came to ashram and said, Bhagavan, there is more ups and downs in the world. There is great difference between haves and have-nots. Some are poor, some are very rich, some are educated, some are illiterate. This is no good. There must be some equality. All should be equal. And I am going to try my level best to level the world. And see, there is no difference among people. Bhagavan usually do not say no to anything. He said, go ahead. That person now said, I am going to start the work from ashram. Now Bhagavan very calmly said, you can go and sleep now. When you sleep, the whole world will be seen equal or same. There will be no difference at all. There will be no discrepancy. So, Jnanis look everything as same because they see only Ishvara Swarupa in all creation. இருக்கும் இயற்கையால் ஈச ஜீவர்கள் ஒரு பொருளே ஆவர் உந்தி பெற. Says Bhagavan in Upadesa Undiya. When doing Girivalam once with a devotee, Bhagavan is explaining about the famous question, who am I? And after a while, that devotee asked Bhagavan, how can this beautiful message be passed on to others in the world? Because it is very useful each and everyone in the world should know about it, how can we pass this message to others? Actually, Bhagavan is walking 2-3 steps ahead of that person. Bhagavan turned towards him and asked, where are others? There are no others. So, in Bhagavan's vision, all are equal. There is no one other than the self that is within us. Once it is realized, Bhagavan says, that is Atyanta Anandam. Antamilla Atyanta Anandam. Om Namo Bhagavate Sri Ramana.
Namo Ramana.
Namo Ramana.
We continue the satsang with the sharing from Ujjwal Jagadish. He is sharing with us his insights about the Ramana Chattvarimshat, the composition of Ganapati Muni on Bhagavan.
Om Namo Bhagavate Sri Ramanaya. Paradeshineva dhavalena vasasah shakalena veshtita kati vishobhina varadeshikena naraveshadharina shikivahanena Guru Majjagadbhave Gurave Tarakaraye Gurave Tarakaraye Gurave Tarakaraye Gurave Tarakaraye Guruve Tarakaharane Guruve Tarakaharane Guruve Tarakaharane Guruve Tarakaharane Yatiyagi Tiruguva Arunagiri Vasanu Bilitundu Bhatteyanu Dharisi Jwalipanu Guru Shrestha Muruti Naravesha Dharisihanu Navileri Davaniga Navileri Davaniga Navileri Davaniga Dharaya Puraya Lilirihanu Guruve Tarakaharane Guruve Tarakaharane. Ganapati Muni in this 11th verse of Ramana Chattvarimshat sings of Ramana as from a different plane. He is a Paradeshi who is a foreigner to this world of immortals. But he has come wearing this garb, a human garb, into this world of immortals. For what? To teach us the truth, to be the Guru to us. He has come amidst us. And he is none other than that Shiki Vahana. Shiki Vahana, Shiki means a peacock, the one who rides on a peacock. He is the one, and he has come to the earth, to the hill of Arunagiri. He has come, and there he just wears a loin cloth and shines gloriously as the Guru to the world. He is the Guru who is the destroyer of the Asura, who represents all our ignorance, all our darkness, all the mischiefs that is created by the ego. He has come to destroy that Tarakasura. He is the vairi of that Asura. He is the enemy of that Tarakasura, sings Ganapati Muni. Talking of Ramana coming to our plane, I am reminded of a story that we enact in all the self-enquiry workshops that we have from the center. Here we have the story of a city of crabs which are near the beach, and all these crabs are busy running here and there in their small city which has narrow passages, and there's no sunlight which is entering. It is under the beach, and all these crabs are busy doing their work, and amidst these crabs comes a lobster who is very, very happy. And all the crabs are wondering, who is he? who is he? He looks so happy and joyous. Who is he? Who is he? And they're all talking and they're all approaching this lobster. And the lobster says, hello, I am the resident of the kingdom of happiness. And they all wonder, kingdom of happiness? Where is this kingdom? And they say, and then the lobster replies, it is here. It is the sea. It is the kingdom of happiness. And the lobster wonder, he says he's from the sea. What is the sea? The crabs are discussing within themselves. One of the crabs says, have you not learned about the sea in the geography textbook long time back when we were in school? That sea are this great place, and it is very, very dangerous to live in the sea. That is what we have read in geography. But the one crab wonders, but this person seems to be happy. What is the secret of his happiness? And another crab says, maybe he has come here. That's why he is happy. Otherwise, he will be sad in his own home. He's come here. That's why he is happy. But the crabs wonder, we are also here. But are we happy all the time? No, we are sometimes happy, sometimes sad. We are sometimes quarreling. We are not happy. And they start quarreling with each other. I am happy. You are not happy. I am happy. Like this, they are discussing and quarreling about happiness and being sad. And one of the crabs approaches this lobster and say, oh, are you really happy all the time? And the lobster says, yes, I am happy all the time because happiness is my own true nature. Happiness alone is, and happiness is the nature of everyone. And he wonders, do you say that happiness is our nature too? Yes, happiness is your nature too. Then they wonder, why are we not happy? It is because you have confined yourself to this small city. You've confined between these walls and you do not want to experience that expanse. The sea, which is your home, is waiting for you to share all the treasures. Come with me and enjoy that expanse of the sea. And the crabs are very, very interested. Please tell us more about this experience of being in the sea. And the lobster describes, it is so beautiful. The sea is so wide. It does not have any limitations. And there is this bright light of the sun. And there's so much brightness. There is so much of clarity. And when this sunlight falls on the waves look like shimmering gold. And everything is so beautiful. And all the crabs are mesmerized by this description. And one of the crabs, which is very, very practical, it comes and says, why are you wasting it? Get mesmerized by this stranger who has come and mesmerizing you. Listen to what I say. Do your work and you will find happiness. Come, get back to your work, says the practical crab. But these other crabs are intoxicated by this description and they say, how beautiful is this description? And everybody wants to express that description. Somebody wants to paint, somebody wants to create a dance, and somebody wants to write poetry on this, and somebody wants to give lectures on this description. And the crab says, but the sea is waiting for you. Why don't you come with me right now and enjoy being the sea and enjoy that freedom and expanse and the joy of being the sea. But everybody gives some reason. They say, no. Okay, we have to go on an excursion. We have to plan it. Okay, we have to have step-by-step plan. And we can, after knowing completely about the sea alone, we can do this adventurous act. Okay, we are not ready yet to experience the sea, says one of the crabs. And another crab says, I have done this beautiful painting of your description. I want to take this message to more people. I want to have exhibitions everywhere in the crab cities. And I want to reach these descriptions to all of you. And the lobster says, your painting is wonderful, it's beautiful, but it is not the same as being in the sea. It is only limited to your imagination, but being in the sea is beyond imagination. Why don't you come and enjoy that freedom? The crabs are not ready. One more crab which is dancing. It says, how beautiful is your description. It has inspired me with this new movements and new steps. I'm choreographing this beautiful dance on what you have told. And the lobster says, Just imagine, just my description has given you so much joy. Imagine if you become one with the sea, you become one with the movement of the waves, and you become one with that light of the sun. How much more beautiful would it be? Why don't you come right now? And none of the crabs are ready to leave. They're confined, the cities that they are in. And the lobster says, until you are comfortable in this your small dungeons where there is no light, there's only one small trace of light, until you are ready, nobody is interested to take you to the sea. It is you who need to make the decision and move towards the sea. At that time, you will realize that freedom and enjoy that experience of being the sea. And the crabs are busy doing this, and one of the crabs decides that it has to leave. And all the crabs are telling, don't go. We have never heard of a crab which has gone and come back. And the crab says, who is a seeker, the crab says, maybe because after going there, after finding that freedom, nobody wants to come back to this confinement, this bondage. So that's why they're not coming back. Okay, then I want to see the light of the sun before I die. And they say, oh, don't go there. Your eyes may get blinded. We are accustomed to this small light which is there in our dungeon. And the crab says, no, better to be blind after seeing the sun, being here in this confinement, in this bondage. So saying, the crabs leaves the city of the crabs and it reaches the sea. And there in the sea, the lobster is waiting. And the lobster says, oh, my dear crab friend, you have come. I'm so happy. Come, let's explore the sea. And the crab is very, very afraid. It says, don't worry. Come, let's go on a boat. And so they get onto a boat and they are slowly sailing in the sea. At one point, there is a storm and the boat is shaking and the crab is afraid. It says, oh, we are going to die. The boat is going to capsize. And the lobster says that don't feel afraid. Hold on to my hands. We are the creatures of the sea. This is our home. This is our true nature. There is nothing to fear. Come, let us dive together and enjoy the freedom of the sea. So saying, they both jump into the sea, and in the sea, they enjoy the freedom and the joy. And out of compassion, the crab comes back to the city. And it reports all that has happened. And it says that after being the sea, you can come back to the city whenever you want to. But being the ocean is limitless joy. And no joy can be equated to that freedom that we experience as the sea. So saying, the crab comes back to its friends to take them with itself to the sea. That is the compassion of Sadguru Ramana, who is from a different plane. He is from the kingdom of eternal happiness. And he has come to us in the human form to tell us the glory of that freedom and that expanse that we are going to be by being one with that apara satchit sukhavari rashe. By being one in that apara satchit sukhavari rashe, we are going to experience that freedom. From that ocean, he has come down to this land, this city of immortals, and he is reminding us now and then. He is waiting with lot of patience for us to turn back to him and for us to be led to that sea of freedom. Om Namo Bhagavate Sri Ramanaya.
Namo Ramana. Prostrations to Ramana, shining as the self in all beings. By the immense grace of that self, we are meditating on the 108 names of Bhagavan, composed by Vishwanatha Swami. And we are meditating on the name Kamaniya Sucharitraya Nama. This is after Vishwanatha Swami has spoken about the glory of Bhagavan He has said that he is Subramanya in human form. He has said that he is known or has come to us as Ramana, the sweet one. He has said that in his true nature, his true form is the Akhanda Samvedakara. It is the undivided consciousness, the infinite consciousness, which is full of light, Mahaujasaha. And then he told us that he came in the lineage of Parashara in the sacred space of Bhuminatheshwara and as a fruition of the penance of Sundaramayar and Alagamma, who are actually Alagu Sundaram. So Sundararya Tapah Phalam, and this fruition of Sundaramayar's penance is Ramana, he told us. And then he tells us, Kamaniya Sucharitraya Namaha. One of the beautiful story. Actually, the Ashtotram of Bhagavan is about Bhagavan's story. In fact, once when a devotee went to Bhagavan and asked him, I want a brief story, brief biography of yours, Bhagavan. I want to read a brief biography of yours. Then Bhagavan told him, you can read the Ashtotram composed by Vishwanathan. It is the story of my life. That is how Vishwanatha Swami has composed the Ashtotram. And therefore, here, having told us about the birth of Bhagavan, he is giving us the indication as to what the Ashtotram itself is about and how it is the glorious story of Bhagavan. And this meditation on Bhagavan's story, as we said earlier also, as a devotee, like Y.V. Venkateshwar Rao has sung, he says, Ramana Charita Chintana Nasha Bhavada Bandhana. Nasha Bhavada Bandhana. He says, it is the destruction of bondage. Bondage to what? Bondage to Bhava. What is Bhava? Bhava is becoming, to become, to be born, to keep on being born, birth after birth after birth. We are constantly remaking ourselves. We are constantly being born because every time we want to be something and then we are that and then we want to be something else and then we become that. And that's the way we are constantly remaking ourselves, getting into rebirth after rebirth. And this bhava, to break the bondage from the need to become something else, that is the purpose of the beautiful story, meditation on the beautiful story of Bhagavan's life. Therefore, we understand that if we chant the Ashtotra every day, we are actually doing the Ramana Charitra Manana. We are meditating on the Charitra of Bhagavan. And when we meditate on the Charitra of Bhagavan, our bondage will get destroyed. We will gain freedom from all bondage. And that is the story we are meditating upon, that beautiful story of Ramana. And Vishwanatha Swami has covered in a few names. He has only highlighted a few incidents in the life of Bhagavan, in the life of Bhagavan as a child and as a boy. But the remaining incidents he has covered in this one nama by saying Sucharitraya Namaha. Not only those incidents, but the entire life he has covered in that one nama. So just meditating on that one nama, we can remember any of the beautiful incidents in Bhagavan's life. And we remembered some of the incidents. We remembered his courage and his playfulness how he was a great sportsman both at Tiruchuri and at Madurai later. He was a great swimmer, a wrestler, he knew martial arts, and he was strong and courageous. And we remembered how he was full of love. He was so full of love that there are two small instances which just indicate that love. There was a boy, one of his neighbors, younger than him, and a little boy, he himself was not too old. He must have been some 8 or 10 years old. And that little boy wanted to have some sugar cane. So Bhagavan took the sugar cane and he took what we call the arva mane. There is a cutting implement, the instrument, and he was taking off the skin from the sugar cane, shaving off the skin. When he hurt himself badly, he injured himself, and he did not want to let down this little boy. So he just tried to wrap his finger in some piece of cloth, but was bleeding badly. And then when he came home, it was noticed by Sundaram Iyer, and then it was proper medication was applied to it, and it was bandaged properly. And it took some time for Bhagavan's finger to heal. But that was his love. He would not mind getting hurt just out of love for somebody, to do something for someone. And this reminds us of an incident much later when Bhagavan was walking near the ashram behind the samadhis, and a dog was chasing a squirrel. And Bhagavan put his staff in the middle to save the squirrel, to help the squirrel. And he himself tripped and fell, and he fractured his collarbone. That was Bhagavan's love. And we see that at that time, whether it was for the little boy who was a neighbor, or whether it is for his own sister, who it is said that she wanted always to go to their grandmother's house, that is the maternal grandmother's house, which was a few miles away from Tiruchuri. And in those days, people would travel from one place to another, either, of course, on their bullock carts or partly by walking. And it is said that Alamelu, little Alamelu, she would go there, and soon after she went there, she would remember her mother in the very natural manner of children, and she would want to come back. So people tired of taking her, but Bhagavan would take her, and in those days there was no footwear. And Bhagavan was ingenious enough. He made footwear for his little sister by taking the bark of banyan tree, and from that itself he would take out a thread and tie it to her feet, and probably to his feet as well, because of the heat of those places. It used to be so hot. It's very difficult to walk barefoot on the road. And he was ingenious. He was a great craftsman. He's a great artist who could resourcefully do this. And then that again reminds us in later years how he was a master tailor. At that time, if he stitched a small sandal for his sister, he stitched his own kaupina, which got torn badly. He had one kaupina which got torn. That was in the Pachayaman days. But how did he manage? He says he took out a thread from the edge of the same kaupina, and he used a cactus thorn as a needle, and he stitched the kaupina. He mended the kaupina, and he wore it. And that is how he not only shows to us that every resource is so meaningful, it is so sacred. Every resource is so sacred. Bhagavan would say, even if a grain of rice or one of the pulses, 1 grain of 1 gram of, one black gram or yellow gram had fallen, he would take it out carefully. He would wipe it on his towel and put it back into its container, saying, "This is the property of Arunachala." Everything. So that care for each and everything which he did. He has told Vishwanatha Swami, you must treat the whole universe as if it were a speck of dust. And you must treat every speck of dust as if it is the whole universe. And that is what we see in the little boy Ramana as well. The care, the concern, the love, and the total attention to what he is doing. The great power of attention, that which is called the Atma Shakti, manifests as attention. And that is what his story brings to us, even through little incidents from his childhood. Om Namo Bhagavate Sri Ramanaya. We can continue and conclude the satsang with verses, chanting of verses from Arunachala Aksharamadamale by Radha and Vallabh, and the Ashtotra Puja to Bhagavan at Subramaniam's altar, chanted by Vaibhavji, Prarthana, Uma, and Ashwini, with the Aarti song by Revati Shankar. Om Namo Bhagavate Sri Ramanaya.
Arunachala Shiva, Arunachala Shiva, Arunachala Shiva, Arunachala. Arunachala Shiva, Arunachala Shiva, Arunachala Shiva, Arunachala. Omkara Porul Puyarvilloy, Unayar Arivar, Arunachala. Avvai pol enakun arulai tandinai aaluvadun kadan Arunachala. Kannukku kannai kannindri kaanunai kaanuvadevar paar Arunachala. Kantam irumbu pol kavarndinai vidamal kalandinnodiruppai Arunachala. கிரியுருவாகிய கிருபை கடலே கிருபை கூர்ந்தருளுவாய் அருணாச்சலா. கீழ்மேலெங்கும் கிளரொளி மணியன் கீழ்மையை பாஷை அருணாச்சலா. குற்றமுற்றரு தென்னை குணமாய் பணித்தாள் குரு உருவாயோடிர் அருணாச்சலா. பூர்வாட்கண்ணியர் கொடுமயிர் படாதருள் கூர்ந்தென்னை சேர்ந்தருள் அருணாச்சலா. கெஞ்சியும் வஞ்சியாய் கொஞ்சமும் இறங்கில்லை அஞ்சல் என்றே அருள் அருணாச்சலா. கேடாதடிக்கும் உன் கேடில் புகழை கேடு செய்யாதருள் அருணாச்சலா. கையினிற் கனி உன் மெய்ரசம் கொண்டு உவகை வெறி கொள அருள் அருணாச்சலா. கொடியிட்டடியரை கொல்லுனை கட்டி கொண்டெங்கென் வாழ்வேன் அருணாச்சலா. அருணாச்சல சிவ, அருணாச்சல சிவ, அருணாச்சல சிவ, 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 அருணாச்சலா. அருணாச்சல சிவ, அருணாச்சலா. அருணாச்சல சிவ, அருணாச்சலா. அருணாச்சலம் வாழி அன்பர்களும் வாழி. அக்ஷரமண மாலை வாழி.
नमो रमण भारद्वाज विश्वनाथ विरचितं श्रीरमणाष्टोत्तर शतनामावलिः अपार सच्चित् सुखवारिराशे यस्योऽपि मात्रं भुवनं समस्तं गुहाहितं तं रमणं गभीरं चिन्ताविहीनं हृदि चिन्तयामि ॐ महासेन महंसेन जाताय नमः ॐ श्रीरमणाय नमः ॐ गुरवे नमः ॐ अखण्डसंविदाकाराय नमः ॐ महौजसे नमः ॐ कारणोद्भवाय नमः ॐ जगत्पितावताराय नमः ॐ श्रीभूमिनाथस्थलोस्थिताय नमः ॐ पराशरकुलोत्तंसाय नमः ॐ सुन्दरार्यतपःफलाय नमः ॐ कमनीयसुचारित्राय नमः ॐ सहायाम्बा सहायवते नमः ॐ शोणाचलमहोदीनमानसाय नमः ॐ स्वर्णहस्तकाय नमः ॐ श्रीमद्द्वादशान्तमहाश्रयेणोदयाय नमः ॐ महाशक्तिनिपातेन प्रबुद्धाय नमः ॐ परमार्थविदे नमः ॐ तीव्राय नमः ॐ पितृपदान्वेषिणे नमः ॐ इन्दुमौलिना पितृमते नमः ॐ पितुरादेशत शोणशैलं प्राप्ताय नमः ॐ तपोमयाय नमः ॐ उदासीनाय नमः ॐ महायोगिने नमः ॐ महोत्साहाय नमः ॐ कुशाग्रधिये नमः ॐ शान्तसङ्कल्पसम्ब्रह्माय नमः ॐ सुसन्दृशे नमः ॐ सवित्रे नमः ॐ स्थिराय नमः ॐ तपश्चपितसर्वाङ्गाय नमः ॐ पुल्लाम्बुजविलोचनाय नमः ॐ चन्द्रिकासिताश्रीमण्डिताननमण्डलाय नमः ॐ चूतवाट्यां समासीनाय नमः ॐ चूर्णिताखिलविभ्रमाय नमः ॐ वेदवेदान्ततत्त्वज्ञाय नमः ॐ चिन्मुद्रिणे नमः ॐ त्रिगुणातीताय नमः ॐ विरूपाक्षगुहावासाय नमः ॐ विराजदशाकृतये नमः ॐ उद्दीप्तनयनाय नमः ॐ पूर्णाय नमः ॐ रचिताचलताण्डवाय नमः ॐ गम्भीराय नमः ॐ परमाचार्याय नमः ॐ सुप्रसन्नाय नमः ॐ अभयप्रदाय नमः ॐ दक्षिणास्यनिभाय नमः ॐ धीराय नमः ॐ दक्षिणाभिमुखाय नमः ॐ स्वराजे नमः ॐ महर्षये नमः ॐ भगवते नमः
ॐ भूमविद्याविशारदाय नमः ॐ विमलाय नमः ॐ दीर्घदर्शिने नमः ॐ आप्ताय नमः ॐ ऋजुमार्गप्रदर्शकाय नमः ॐ समदृशे नमः ॐ सत्यदृशे नमः ॐ सत्याय नमः ॐ प्रशान्ताय नमः ॐ अमितविक्रमाय नमः ॐ सुकुमाराय नमः ॐ सदानन्दाय नमः ॐ मृदुभाषि कमलाक्षिणे नमः ॐ दयार्णवाय नमः ॐ श्री शोणाचल हृद्भूत स्कन्दाश्रम निकेतनाय नमः ॐ सद्दर्शनोपदेष्ट्रे नमः ॐ सद्भक्तवृन्द परिवृताय नमः ॐ गणेश मुनि भृङ्गेन सेविताङ्ग्रि सरोरुहाय नमः ॐ गीतोपदेश सारादिग्रन्थ संचिन्न संशयाय नमः ॐ वर्णाश्रम मतातीताय नमः ॐ रसज्ञाय नमः ॐ सौम्याय नमः ॐ आत्मवते नमः ॐ सर्वावनिमतस्थानाम् आराध्याय नमः ॐ सर्वसद्गुणिने नमः ॐ आत्मारामाय नमः ॐ महाभागाय नमः ॐ मातृमुक्तिविधायकाय नमः ॐ विनताय नमः ॐ विनुताय नमः ॐ विप्राय नमः ॐ मुनीन्द्राय नमः ॐ पावकोज्ज्वलाय नमः ॐ दर्शनादकसंहारिणे नमः ॐ मौनेन स्वात्मबोधकाय नमः ॐ ऋचाधिकरसान्निध्याय नमः ॐ स्मरणाद्बन्धमोचकाय नमः ॐ अन्तस्तिमिरचण्डांशवे नमः ॐ संसारार्णवतारकाय नमः ॐ शोणाद्रीशस्तुतिद्रष्टे नमः ॐ हार्दविद्याप्रकाशकाय नमः ॐ अविच्युतनिजप्रज्ञाय नमः ॐ नैसर्गिकमहातपसे नमः ॐ कमण्डलुधराय नमः ॐ शुभ्रकौपीनवसनाय नमः ॐ गुहाय नमः ॐ दण्डपाणये नमः ॐ कृपापूर्णाय नमः ॐ भवरोगविषग्वराय नमः ॐ स्कन्दाय नमः ॐ देवतमाय नमः ॐ अमर्त्याय नमः ॐ सेनान्ये नमः ॐ पुरुषोत्तमाय नमः।
ॐ श्रीरमण भगवते नमः। श्रीरमणाष्टोत्तरशतनामपूजां समर्पयामि। यस्थाणोररुणाचलस्य पदयोः स्मृत्याजनिं प्राप्यत दिव्यानुग्रहसुप्रवाहविवशस्तादात्म्यभावं गतः निष्ठस्वगभीरनित्यतपसा लोकान् पुनास्येकराट् तस्मै श्रीरमणाय ते नम इदं लोकोत्तरज्योतिषे। नमो 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 रमण सदाशिव प्रभावरण नमो महर्षि नमो महर्षि नमो 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 रमण सदाशिव प्रभावरण नमो महर्षि नमो महर्षि दर्शन सुख मंगल मुख सकल जीवहित सम्मुख ब्रह्म संघिये नमो 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 रमण सदाशिव प्रभावरण नमो महर्षि नमो महर्षि सदा तुष्ट सदा हृष्ट सदा शिवानंद पुष्ट परम महर्षि ब्रह्मनिष्ठ समदर्शी नमो 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 रमण सदाशिव प्रभावरण नमो महर्षि नमो महर्षि ನಮ್ಮ ಮನವದೊಂದು ಕಾಡು ನೀನರಿತಿಹೆ ಅದರ ಜಾಡು ಹಿತವನರಿತು ನೀಡುತ್ತೆಂಬ ಹೊರೆಯ ತಣಿಸಲೈ ಬೇಡಲೆಂದು ಬಂದ ನಾವು ನೋಡಿಯೇ ತಣಿವೆವಯ್ಯ ಮೋಡಿಗಾರನೇ ಹಿತವ ನುಡಿದು ಪೊರೆ ನಮ್ಮನು ಬ್ರಹ್ಮ ಸಂಗಿಯೇ नमो 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 रमण सदाशिवप्रभावरण नमो महर्षि नमो महर्षि नमो 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 रमण सदाशिवप्रभावरण नमो महर्षि नमो महर्षि। बोलो भगवान श्री राम महर्षि की जय।
नमो रमणा everyone.
Namo Ramana Subhu sir.